A lot of them were, I wouldn't say based on, but like I like to say inspired by. Some of them like very much so, like the grandfathers. My grandfather basically even has the same name. He was quite a tough guy. I always say he was probably a feminist that didn't know he was one. He didn't have much time for men, and but was just very supportive of his daughters and granddaughters.
You stay over too, son?
Yes, I did. That's correct, sir.
What, in your room? Have you nothing to say about this, you slack southern shite?
The gang are different people I went to school with, you know, sort of pushed this way or another way or combined until I found what made the best comic character. So yeah, there's bits and pieces of some people I grew up with and some members of my family. Probably a year I took a year to write the pilot. And then when I delivered the pilot, it was greenlit off the back of that pilot, which is quite rare.
Oh, how it is.
The pilot episode took the longest to write because I was finding the world and the tone and the characters and, you know, the style of the show and all that, and really doing all that world building stuff you tend to do at the beginning.
Oh, God, this whole writing from the soul carry-on is a nightmare.
I know.
And then it got much quicker when it got greenlit because it had to go on TV at some point. I always felt it was a 3-series show. I always felt it was about that little window of your teenage years that are quite sort of intense, but go by in the blink of an eye. And I wanted the show to feel like that, fast and warm and nostalgic. I love their naivety and their innocence.
Erin, it's me. I'm the wee lesbian. So you are, Claire. I'm not joking.
It was about finding the right place to leave them and know they're going to be okay. And I hope we've done that.
And all it did was make me realise I'd still rather just be standing here on the walls with you guys.
Orla.
At last! Oh.
All right, Mary Poppins, I've had a shocker, girls.
I think, you know, I'm very proud of the funny stuff, obviously, because first and foremost, I think it's a sitcom and it has to make people laugh.
No way, are you serious?
What are you doing? Who are you talking to?
The scene I remember writing, and I remember the moment it came to me, is that moment when Granda Joe puts his hand on Jerry's shoulder, which isn't funny at all, but I remember having that idea and then filming it, and then I remember watching it go out. Yeah, it's quite rare that you get to see something exactly like how you imagined it, how you first imagined it in your head. So that's a very special Derry Girls scene for me. I've thought a lot about what they'll be doing now because I have a very weird relationship with the characters in this show. I think they're real, and I worry about them and have, particularly Orla, I've had sleepless nights about, God, what's she going to do for a living? I think Erin's a novelist. I always thought Erin was going to be a writer. She's a pretty terrible writer at the minute, as I was.
I think a lot of people in this class, and I know no one will mind me saying this, well, they have a very basic grasp of the creative process. Whereas I've been writing for years, so I'm really not afraid to put myself out there. To be bold, to take risks.
Erin's kind of loosely based on me. When I was 16, I was awful, and hopefully I've got a bit better at that, but I think she'll be a novelist. I think Claire's like a top barrister somewhere and quite sort of ruthless and yeah, but just like real top of her game.
It's not happening. Drugs are for mugs, folks.
Congratulations, Claire. That might be the dickiest sentence that anyone's ever said.
I think Michelle's a DJ and maybe like runs a bookies on the side or something like that.
Slaunch.
No.
I think James is a filmmaker.
We lived on the edge back then. We were young, wild, fearless. We didn't play by the rules.
I'm gonna shove that camera up his hole.
I think he might even be like a documentary maker, and I think he might make documentaries about Northern Ireland. Orla was the really tough one, but I've decided that Orla's probably gonna start coaching a sports team that are really terrible, like the Mighty Ducks, and just lead them to glory, you know, and just be like world famous I think, and it'll be like a pretty random sport.
Step aerobics. Orla's got really into step aerobics. Her instructor says she's a natural, says she's got what it takes, you go all the way.
All the way in step aerobics.
But it's out of control now, Mary. She's stepping morning, noon and night. Apart from anything else, it's dangerous. I won't give it up. I can't.
It might be ice hockey even or something like that, but she'll be just really brilliant at that.
We don't need to worry about the future, Aaron. If we fail, well, our mas are going to wipe us out, and dead people don't need jobs.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. That's very reassuring.
Definitely anytime Kevin McAleer came in, who plays the boring uncle, Colin, because he made everybody laugh, and I think when you're making a comedy you don't really laugh often because the jokes start to lose all meaning.
So I says to himself, says I, Colin, this is no day for a do.
What's happening?
For when the bride arrived, and as I say, by this stage the wind was fierce.
My dad.
I've never heard wind like it.
Is this my week?
Howling like a banshee it was.
Am I in hell?
Also, Ardal O'Hanlon is one of my comedy heroes, so anytime he came in, and because of Father Ted, everyone was just like around the monitor, you know, all the actors, everybody.
I was just going to say that my poor mother, God bless her and keep her.
Amen.
Well, she didn't mean what she said at the wet.
Oh, please, you don't need to explain.
You were worried I'd think you'd put a curse on her.
Well.
That's hilarious.
Hi.
I mean, obviously, a curse was my first thought.
You know, in Ireland, that show, Father Ted, obviously has a place in everybody's heart, so he's like a national treasure. I think if you want to be a screenwriter, comedy or drama for TV, I think you have to really love it. It's much, much, much harder than anybody will ever tell you or you'll ever believe. You have to really want to do it.
That's beautiful.
Lean into what's particular about you and what's particular about your voice and what makes your voice different, and don't try and do what other people have done before you. Try and work out what's special about you as a writer and explore that. Oh God. Maybe I'd just tell them, do you know what, it's probably going to be okay. Being this much of a loser is fine because you're going to write a sitcom about it one day and it'll go down well. It's all going to work out all right, Lisa.